Hello, I'm Brian with Metro Driving Academy. This is part 5 on how to start a driving school. Today's uh, lesson today will be more how you set up your classroom, what to expect in the classroom, some of the do's and don'ts of the classroom. From my experience will be different than someone else's. Since I teach at some charter schools and I teach here my local office, and I have my own classroom. My own classroom is quite a bit different than the classroom at a certain school, and it should be because it is a different environment. The main thing going in is try to be upbeat and positive, but yet instill a somewhat of a healthy fear of driving. You always have to um, be cautious, be a defensive driver, things like that. The students come in sometimes with the attitude that I'm mature and that I can handle things that have come my way so far, and that is true in some cases. In my case here, locally, most of my students come in very mature, very intelligent, and so that part of it is not a big deal. However, when you're talking about driving and you're talking about how to keep your passengers safe and how to keep everybody on the road, innocent bystanders, pedestrians, children safe. That's a different type of level of responsibility that these students are not used to doing or being a part of. Let's just face it, they're used to getting in the car, getting on their phones, or sleeping, depending on the case, what time of day, or talking, just to name a few things, and they don't know how they got to point A to point B. Well, in the classroom's the same way, and the fact that they're not really understand what they're up against. So as you breaking them into it, you keep going back to where, in my case, I do the responsibility. I'm a huge fan of responsibility. So if a student comes in, they're not very responsible, just in class. You pick up on their body language. You pick up on their body language real quickly. And, 30 hours here in North Carolina for classroom is a long time to sit still, to try to absorb as much as you can, things like that. So, in my situation here in my local classroom, I may have 15 students, and all 15 students are coming from other schools. Okay? Very rarely do I have more than one or two students that know each other. And that doesn't necessarily mean by the end of the class, by the end of the session, they won't know each other, just at the beginning. So you're going to have some icebreakers, so to speak, to where they feel comfortable. Maybe tell them a little bit about yourself. If they're into sports, talk sports with them. Just kind of ease them into the class. Um, they're excited. They don't know what to expect. They've heard good things about driver's ed. They've heard the classroom part. They've heard bad things. They got a lot going on in their head, to their mind, to where they don't really know what to think. So as you approach the class, I personally, when I start teaching, we talk about responsibility over and over and over. We talk about distractions and things of that nature. But I walk them through the handbook. I walk them through the handbook first, of course, maybe the first day of class, second day of class, depending on the situation. And then I dive into the curriculum, and I change it up with some of my videos that I've collected over the years, personal experiences, personal stories, maybe an online game or two. Just kind of mix it up as you're going through. Due to space limitations, I don't do a lot of talking. Excuse me, a lot of walking around. I can, but I don't. To me, it's very informal type setting that I have. I make them at ease. So, it's not a very strict structure. However, due to where we're at, and due to the fact that I demand respect and things of that nature, I don't have really many problems whatsoever. It's kind of how you lay out the classroom. You set the ground rules up front. You see, by me, what I do is the week before the class starts, right around the week before, I'll email the parents to what to bring, what to expect, what not to do, the do's and don'ts of this local area and this local classroom that they're going to be a part of. And then that way, and then of course, download the forms for them. That way, the forms that I need, they'll have them ready. I'll tell them to have them ready. Um, that way, less time wasted. Even though 30 hours seems like a long time, an eternity, especially to young students, it's really not. Because you think about it really hard, the 30 hours of classroom time have here in North Carolina with me to having 6 hours of driving, so that's 36 hours. And then the year that they're to drive with their parents on a permit basis, limited permit. That's really all the driver's ed, all the knowledge that they'll attain throughout their life. Because once they get level twos and get their full license, graduate high school, college, things like that, um, their their knowledge of driving, obviously the experience is increasing. They'll learn, but as far as somebody telling them what to do and how to do it and things like that, those days are numbered and those hours are numbered in my case. So I want the student to have the paperwork ready. Um, that way I can go straight into teaching. Any loose ends the first day we take care of. Then we go into the handbook. And then once we do the handbook, and like I say, I go back and forth from videos to handbook to curriculum to maybe a game online, or and then the second day I really land blast them with alcohol and the difference is the .08 here to legally limit here in North Carolina. We see an attorney video talks about the levels of punishment associated with the DWI here in North Carolina. Then there's also insurance to talk about. Not only will you face potential criminal part, you could face a lot of insurance feedback or kickback, I should say, about how high your rates will be. And then there's also a chemical part of the compound. Talk about how here in North Carolina how it's equated out and things like that, mathematical equation. How little small amount these kids will see the difference, and so it's really informative. We'll watch a few stories, and what my goal here on day two is to go ahead and instill in their mind if they're in a drunk driving situation, maybe at a party, how to respond now to get it in their conscious, whether they need to call Uber, call a ride share program, or their family members or a friend to come pick them up, so they won't. Just keep in mind, it's however you structure the day. Some people do differently than I do. I just gave you two illustrations of day one is pretty much the handbook, and then day two would be the alcohol, a good bit of alcohol training, drunk driving versus drowsy driving. I try to dive a little deeper than just say, hey, don't drink. But realistically, that's my 2 days. Then you can balance it out. However, like here locally, when school's in session, I just do Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday to get their 30 hours. Whereas when summertime and school's out of session, I may go Monday through Friday and do more morning, early afternoon type sessions, type classes. That way we're done and out the door, and they're finished in 1 week versus 3 weeks. So it varies from what time of year it is. There's a Christmas break class coming up in December. That'll help people on Christmas break. Now, then of course Easter break and then stuff like that will probably be a Monday through Friday type class. The rest of the school year will be Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Friday for 4 hours, Saturday for 6 hours. Gives them 10, 10, and 10. That way they knock it out 1 month. But that's kind of how I set up things. I've been in a lot of classrooms before, and they've do all kinds of different things. Maybe you could use props. Maybe you could use like drunk goggles or something like that to get their attention more. Just it kind of varies as long as you're teaching what they need to know to learn how to be a safe driver, conscientious driver, and so those are just a couple of few tips. Hope you enjoyed it. Like the button at the bottom. Um, if you like the video, subscribe to the channel. I look forward to talking with you next time. Thank you so much.